So one, two, three.
You're good. You're good. All right, it is May 2nd, 2022 at 5:46 p.m. We're going to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Lang, Barker, Hottinger, Hauser, and Marmy. First item is to indicate that the general fund stands at $358,131. The budget stabilization fund stands at $1,145,137. First item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $2,700.
Mr. Chair, this is just a payout for an individual who resigned out of community development rehabilitation enforcement.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of this signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Thank you. This motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $100,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Overtime within the fire divisions continues to be a challenge. And because of those challenges, we're projecting that we're going to need, we're not going to have sufficient funds to cover overtime for the rest of the year. So we want to get out in front of this and get some money appropriated so that we do have sufficient funds when they are needed.
Second.
Motion by Barker, second by Lang. Mr. Lang.
Yeah, if you could speak to where are we relative to what we had budgeted, and do we feel like this 100,000 is going to be it, or are we going to be talking another few months? I know we're trying to get ahead of it, but
Yeah, to be honest, this $100,000 is probably not going to cover what we need for the rest of the year. Year to date, we've used about 53% of the budget amount for the year. So you know, if things continue like that, we'll probably need at least another $100,000 to get to the end of the year. So,
can you speak to how we, if you have any idea of like how we got so far off and what may be at the root of?
well, it's staffing is an issue. Having enough people, the call volume has just been through the roof lately. So I mean, it's a combination of things. I don't think we'll be able to just point to one factor that's causing it.
Can you tell me how many vacancies we have? I mean, like, how many positions are we understaffed right now?
I would just be guessing, but I think we're about down 3 or 4 right now. We've got some people, we're going to be hiring 3. I think May 16th is their swearing date. But I think once those go, then there's still a couple of months. It's kind of like a revolving door. As soon as we hire somebody retires or leaves to go to another agency. So
Even if we've had all 3 or 4 filled, we would still be having overtime issue
probably.
just because of the volume.
Yeah, that's sure, that's part of it. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Could we look at just a volume? I'm just curious, like a volume comparison. Is that something to pull together for council to look at just year,
From year to year.
yeah, 22 versus 21? I'd just be curious to see how bad, how much more it is so far.
Yeah,
this
I know
year.
that last year, the call volume was in excess of 13,000 calls for service, which is really, really high for a fire service.
Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $17,773.
Yes, I was in front of council to ask for the authority to enter into a lease purchase for various pieces of equipment through Park National Bank. As you're aware, not everything's coming in in a timely manner. So what I did is I just paid for these out of my budget. I did close on the loan with Park National Bank. This is part of the proceeds, and we'd just like to have this reappropriated into my budget to replace some monies that I paid out earlier.
Motion by Lang, second by Barker. Any questions and or comments? Yes.
Abstaining.
Arguments as well. Just a law director. Just to go back in history, we've had previous employees who have been on council with our lease agreements and things. Is it a conflict of interest if they're employed by a company that we're having a loan with? That the service director is in contract with? All we're doing is approving funds to be moved. We're not approving a loan. So do they have to abstain?
And I did not have contact with either of the members.
But it's my department. Just to
Okay,
clarify.
that's a different story.
It's
Yeah.
not my department, so I'm not.
Yeah.
My
It is.
department, I should abstain. You should abstain.
Okay, yeah.
I can go ahead forward, that's fine.
Okay. I want to just make sure that we're clear.
No, I was
and-
only because I'm aware of that situation.
Right, yeah, okay. All right, so we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, any questions and or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those abstaining is
Abstain.
1, and those opposed, same sign. Zero. That motion passes 4-0. Thank you. And with that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned.
Hey Beth, are you?
On my way. So.
Just going after that. I'm going to call the service committee meeting to order. Members present are Blind, Pottinger, Barker, and Lang sitting in for Rath, and Labuda sitting in for Harris. Up first is ordinance number 22-15, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 137 North Vernon Avenue, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, from that of newly annexed property to single-family residence, RL Low Density District, zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio. Mr. Moorhead.
Yes, sir. This is a newly annexed piece of property. So it's up to the city to establish the zoning on newly annexed properties within the City of Newark zoning code. So both of these are on the first reading, and we'll go to Planning Commission for the public hearing and then come back to you with a recommendation later on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just for noting purposes, this would go to Planning Commission June 14th. Hopefully a recommendation by July 12th, and then back to council for a second reading with a public hearing on August 1st. Any questions from committee?
Thank you. So we're currently passing this as, or sending it on as single family residence. Is that what the property owner has asked for? Or is that what is adjacent, or how do we establish kind of the initial zoning that's attached to?
Yes, it's what's adjacent, and it's kind of a single lot. The rear of the lot backs up to Gregory Park, so it matches the zoning of Gregory Park, but it is within an area that is all residential.
Motion by Lang, second by Labutus. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next up is ordinance 2216, an ordinance changing the zoning classification of certain real property generally described as 9193 Clinton Street, City of Newark, Licking County, Ohio, from that of TFR, two-family residence district, to MFR, multifamily residence district, zoning code of the City of Newark, Ohio. Moorhead.
Yes, my understanding, this is a zoning change application that came in from the property owner. He wishes to take it from two-family residence to multifamily. I think he wishes to put 4 units in the building as opposed to 2 rental units.
Mr. Lang.
Thank you. Mr. Moorhead, do you have a sense for how close this is in proximity to the next multifamily zoning? Assuming this is all two family merges.
I don't right off.
I'm sure that'll be something you discuss with planning
Yeah,
commission.
exactly.
Awesome.
Motion by Lang,
Second.
second by Labutus. I do have a question, Director. Is this, I recall a couple months ago, we had a similar request come through and no one ever showed up. And it died at the council floor. This is not the same, is this the same
It's
request?
not the same.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries 5-0. With that, the service committee meeting stands adjourned and council will start at 7 p.m.